Okay, up next we're going to look at how we use modes. And the typical way we would teach this is we would look at Gregorian chant, how they were used there, and we kind of move on through the centuries. But what I want to do, I want to look at a little more contemporary stuff. So we are going to look at a little bit of chant, but mostly I want to show you how people are using them now, because they've had a big resurgence in the last maybe 50 years. And people like using them again because they have that kind of quirkiness to them, or just a little more complex emotion, I think. And a lot of composers have started using them. I've used them in my own stuff all the time, actually. One thing to keep in mind as we look at how people use these is that this is not a thing where you have to say, okay, I'm writing a piece of music. I am going to use the Lydian mode for this piece of music for the whole thing. You don't actually have to do that. And a lot of composers didn't do that historically. In the chant stuff, they did, because the mode had a meaning. And if you went outside of that mode, or you transitioned to a different mode in a single piece of music, you just didn't do that. But in the modern usage, you will find people who have a passage in a certain mode, another passage in another mode, and combine them all together to make a more delicate narrative. Think of it like a book. In a book, if you're reading a happy book, it's not all happy from beginning to end, right? There's a spectrum of emotions that happens, and that's what you can do with modes if you transition between them. So this is not like, we're going to pick a mode and we're going to do it for the whole thing. That is the traditional kind of old way that it was done. But in modern uses, you can weave in between modes, and you can be a little bit more experimental with them. You can have, you can be in a mode and go out of that mode, out of key for a note or two, and that's okay. Remember, at the end of the day, we can do whatever we want as the composer. So let's start off with looking at a couple themes. I thought, instead of going historically, I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit in this section. And I want to start with one that I think most people have heard, and that is the theme song to The Simpsons. So let's dive right into that.